Hi, my name is Kevin Drake, and I'm doing my author discussion on part two of The Intuitionist by Colson Whitehead. So first off, I would like to talk a little bit about the author Colson Whitehead. He was born on November 6, 1969 in New York City, and then he ended up being raised in Manhattan, New York during his childhood. Colson Whitehead, his education, growing up, he attended Trinity School, and he ended up going to Harvard University and graduated in 1991. A fun fact that I learned from looking up Colson Whitehead on Harvard College website was that this year, 2018, Colson Whitehead will be the recipient of the Harvard Arts Medal that is awarded at a ceremony presented by the Office for the Arts at Harvard and the Board of Overseers at Harvard College. Uh, After graduating college, he began working at a place called the Village Voice, which is where he would write different reviews on television shows, books, and music. And this job is actually where he started writing his first novels. And the novel that I am actually reviewing right now was Colson Whitehead's first novel that he published, and it came out in 1999. Along with this book, Colson Whitehead has published five other novels, and The Intuitionist was actually named the best first novel of the year by Esquire magazine, and GQ also called it one of the novels of the millennium. So, obviously, along with being an American novelist, Colson Whitehead was also a professor, and he taught at all these different universities, such as Princeton, New York, Columbia, which are the big names. And then he was also a writer in residence at these to the right, University of Richmond, University of Wyoming, like that. Other big news for Colson Whitehead was actually that one of his books was a selection of Oprah's Book Club 2.0 and also chosen by President Barack Obama as one of the five books on his summer vacation reading list, which is pretty cool. So now let's get more into the important part of this project, The Intuitionist. Its point of view was third person, and I believe that Whitehead did this on purpose because it's more effective for him to show what he wants to show throughout the book. It allows a different perspective that can include social and philosophical commentary while still having fast and character-centered plot. The majority of this is obviously told from Lila May's perspective, which allows us, a reader, to go into like her shoes and see what it's like to be a black female in this society. That's an elevator inspector, obviously. Whitehead forces the reader to see many different types or examples of racism and sexism in their daily life on a structural level. However, by using a lot of monologues from Lila May's perspective, Whitehead is also able to expand on the different themes that he lays throughout this book with Lila May going along through it. So the summary of this, just a little bit of background information on the Intuitionist. The second half of the book starts with the description of the Funicular Follies, which is an annual event that is among all elevator inspectors with live music and has like dancers and stuff. Just a fun event. Lila May snuck into this event by dressing as like a caterer, and that makes it so that no one really recognizes her. Natchez ended up writing a note for her that said that he had a surprise for her at the end of the event. And towards the end of the event, two men enter the stage and perform in blackface using insulting and like a southern accent, being very kind of rude. And then someone follows them on stage, and then he attempts to give a demonstration of a safe elevator in imitation of Otis's family. However, the safety spring does not actually deploy in the elevator, and he ends up injuring himself. Meanwhile, like this is all going on, Arbogast ends up being kind of suspicious of the the colored caterer during this whole thing, and he tries to end up going for Lila May, but she leaves before he can even like reach her. So later on in the book, Lila May meets with Chuck at a restaurant, and he tells her that the office is a really hectic place, and that there are rumors that the Intuitionists planned for Chankre's fall at the demonstration, and he encourages Lila to come into the office and speak with Arvid Grass from Internal Affairs so that he can clear her of like the wrongdoing. Um, there's also rumors about Fulton's black box um, are spreading through the office as well. But Lila just returns her hotel room at the Friendly League residence and shows that. So now I think this is even more important than the actual summary. Um, I want to talk about the symbols and like the different themes of this book. So obviously, this book had a lot of allegories, which we learned from like Dr. Carter in our first voice read on the Intuitionist. So the first one that I picked was just an elevator, and I believe that the elevator is like the central symbol in the novel, and it's like very important to the novel for its content. Uh, Obviously, the elevator I think represents a system of like social ascension and mobility in the city. They're not just obviously like our elevators that just they don't have a symbol behind them and just help people go up and down to different levels of the buildings. They are more than that. They represent the process of moving up and down into the social hierarchy. Um, so this city is like obsessed with verticality, and it has a very giant desire to build like high buildings and stuff like that, and it's very like power hungry in that sort of sense. Um, so the it shows that like it's a desire to ascend socially, and it's perceived as like superior when you are higher up in the building and stuff like that. Um, Also, the elevators represent the structural important opportunities and limitations that this city in this plot presents. It shows that, like, obviously the elevators are technological, but they also have a lot of mechanical problems, which I think this kind of symbolizes uh, that there's a lot of issues that surround this city, and I believe that it's about Colson Whitehead trying to show that it's sad to show this like hierarchy where I think he does a very good job doing this, but it's sad to see how much as humans strive for power and to be perceived in like they want to be perceived in such a good light when in fact it shouldn't really matter what people think of us. The next theme in the novel is that I picked to talk about is racism. I believe that racism was also like a very central role in the novel, um, obviously, and that it kind of like with all the things that were going on in the book, truth and like equality is not going to be reached because of the level of racism that is shown throughout the pages of this book. So Whitehead focuses specifically on like the application of this idea of race in relations, and he explores the mindset that results in like racism and the mindset that doesn't obviously result in racism, which is like empiricism versus intuitionism. So he shows like the role of race in the society and portrays like alongside depictions of these through the characters. Colson Whitehead establishes really early on that the novel or the society in this novel is completely racist and was not originally structured uh, or was originally structured by like controlled by the white people, and it he shows us a perspective from Lila May's unusual position, where she's towards the bottom, but she's a black female working really hard, and she still gets discriminated a lot for being such. Lastly, I just want to talk about what I think about the book. So, overall, I think this book really opened my eyes on racism that we still have today in our country. It's really sad. It showed me that through metaphors, how people really strive for power, and they're like so power hungry, and that it also showed me when the people get that power, they end up getting that power, it goes directly to their head, and that they treat others that are below them, instead of treating them just like, hey, just like one of me, another human being, they treat them lower, like less of a person, just because they're technically a little bit lower on the social class. On a more lighter note, to end this project off, I really like this book because of all the allegories. I feel like the symbolism really keeps like us, a reader, on our toes, trying to catch like all the allegories and the different themes of the book. That being said, this is the end of my author discussion. So thank you for your time.